And we're back.
We are back.
Did you guys have a chance to take your coffee break? It was commercial time.
Yes,
You have
yes.
to put commercial in there.
Give people a break. Uh, you were saying about Bitcoin bringing these different aspects of people's experiences together.
Yeah, I like comparing our experience with Slam Dunk Millionaire movie. So the idea of this movie is that it's just a homeless person in India, uh, like working different jobs to survive, meeting different people to survive, and then he ends up at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show, and he just knows answers to all those questions. And the organizers can't believe they're like, this is like he's just a homeless, like barely adult, like he's almost a teenage boy and he knows all the answers, like how is it possible? And then they start an investigation and he just walks the cops through like how he knew answers to all those questions. And this is how it was in our lives. We just, we just had all those experiences that gave us this understanding how important the sovereignty is. And now it just all got together. So now it's our like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show, and we just know all the answers already because we prepared. Cool movie though. You're gonna watch it.
Oh, I know the movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it give you a sense at all of like, does it give you a fatalistic sense at all? Like, because who the hell knows why we have the experiences in life we have, and or why you're so different from your siblings. Sometimes, like you shared so many experiences, but you can be totally, totally different from your siblings. And then as you accumulate those experiences, they coalesce into a perspective, and that perspective attaches to different things that it finds important based on what you've drawn from those experiences. And I think that's what you're saying about Bitcoin, right? It's like you've got all these experiences that shape your perspective to some degree, and then that makes it so much easier just to look at this thing and go, yes, oh, this is it. Of course, this is it. So do you,
Oh,
do you get a
I
fatalistic sense about it?
I think we're all very analytical. So maybe a lot of people had the same experiences, but they just, passed them. And just like a lot of people, they learn about Bitcoin, they don't care enough either to learn enough or they just don't see it the way we do. But like we take those experiences, we analyze them. And I, like my coach, since I was 9 year old, my coach would always say, like, she's over analyzing everything. She just keeps going back and forth about the same experience until she like figures things out. And yeah, I believe it's just the way I am. I just analyze things and try to find like full understanding, and I won't stop unless I find it. And I think that's just all we do. And yeah, it's all choice. We go through pretty much the same experiences, and then you either let it go or you're like, okay, let's figure it out and find the truth.
Yeah. I think part of the question before we got cut off there was some of the more influential resources that kind of shaped your current thinking on things, because, you're very vocal and very adamant about your perspective and your, political philosophies, for lack of a better term. What kind of, other than your life experiences, has there been uh, educational resources of different kinds that have really shaped that for you? Are you thinking, or can you not hear me? God damn it. I'm going to screenshot this. Yo.
I'm here. Wow, it just popped back up. Okay, yeah, what are my experiences? I definitely had all the experiences through different, like my own immigration, right? My own immigration is what brought me to flag theory. The inflation of Russian ruble since I was born to now was like 11x compared to dollar, ruble dollar pair. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
No?
Yep. Turns out the internet in Guadalajara is not a strong point.
Really great hotel, but internet sucks big time. But you know what I did now? I'm gonna try to hotspot myself with my phone and see how that goes.
Wow.
Again, back to your question about what helped me out. Definitely meeting other anarchists and like bouncing around ideas. Well, before that, obviously, all my experiences. Russian currency dropped 11x compared to like in a pair to dollar since I was born. Like that's a lot. Then my immigration process really showed me the value of the flag theory, and I just discovered so many loopholes. And I was like, passports, that's what we need. So like all those experiences, and then on top of it, just finding other people, like-minded people, sharing ideas, bouncing those around, debating. That would kind of help me, put it all together and be more precise with my views.
And for people back home in Russia, family members, friends, and stuff, like, what do they think of you now? Like, because from an outside perspective, your kind of, I guess, philosophy on life might seem extreme or at the very least unique to people, right? As do most of ours in the Bitcoin space, right? Because, these are, we espouse ideas that are both adamant but somewhat very unconventional, perhaps. What do they think about you know current Katie?
Yeah. Well, I'm very lucky to have extremely loving and supportive family. Like my sister is my closest friend probably. Whenever I get into fights, I'm super close with my parents and even my extended family too. Like all of them 100% sure that I'm a weirdo, but like good kind of weirdo. Like the kind of weirdo they admire instead of just thinking that she's doing something wrong. Like they're super curious about my lifestyle. They're super supportive. They know that like I'm doing things differently and it works out for me. And they just like, good for you, Katie. And they're pretty supportive.
that's
I really need to give them more credit for that. Like,
that's incredible. That's awesome. Are they? Do they get Bitcoin? Are they interested? Do they understand?
yes, definitely. Well, my dad is like, since he quit prosecution work, he's been, he's done a lot of political researches and like looking into markets. So he's been pretty red pill on the whole Fed thing for a while, for a very long while. And recently, last year, actually, I sent him Saifeddin's book in Russian, and I had to read it in Russian too, so we could debate. And he's like, "This is good." By the way, the translation was amazing. Seriously, it was
Really?
really good book in Russian too. hmm
That's
I was
awesome.
I was very surprised.
Um,
So
so
yeah,
what?
they're totally onto that.
That's incredible. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was, you've been on Twitter. You've been promoting. I guess it's called flag theory, but it's just different passports, basically getting other passports from different countries that have more favorable policies around taxation and around travel and around all sorts of different things. And you also, I saw something pop up from you not so long ago about being an agent for selling islands or something like that. So one of the emergent ideas in Bitcoin is this like idea of citadels, and I think some people might misinterpret it. Really, the citadel is like an idea of sovereignty, like whether or not your idea of a citadel is a walled fortress with all your Bitcoin homies and just like high tech everything, and it's a great place to live. Or if your idea of a citadel is like living in the mountains with, a self sufficient home with your close family or maybe some friends and that kind of, and raising your own food. Like it's basically just a living arrangement where you're sovereign and free and can do what the fuck you want. And I think we all aspire to that. And one of the things, like, and this is actually becoming more real with each passing day. Like I think this year and the COVID situation, we had been talking about citadels for a while, but there was no pressing concern. And now we see what the response has been to this crisis, quote unquote crisis, in many places. And people are starting to think, hey, this might be something I need to consider sooner than I had thought. And so looking at options that are available to people that want to opt out or have more optionality, I think is increasingly important. And obviously, one of the things that you're involved in does that. So maybe this is the time to break into the spiel about what you're up to now.
Yeah, definitely. So the idea behind the concept of flag theory is just to limit your dependency on any one particular state. Sometimes you might be seeking for better taxation structure. Sometimes you might just want to make sure that, like, if your oppressive government becomes even more oppressive, you just want to flee the country without problems. Like, there might be different reasons for different people, but I just see it as a like multi-sig. Pretty much, like, when one of your keys get into the hands of malicious actor doesn't mean that you lose all your funds. The only difference here, as I like to say, is that all actors are malicious, like all nation states are malicious, but the good thing, they don't really get along with each other, so you can play that card as well. And yeah, again, I discovered it through my own experience when I realized that, like, now as a Russian citizen in the US, like, I can have some more freedom than local citizens, and it's pretty good to have that. So I decided to dig deeper into this rabbit hole, and that's where I'm at right now. Another interesting thing that you mentioned, COVID, is last year, a lot of Americans were just, looking into buying passports in Caribbeans, buying passports, but then still keeping their US citizenship. This year, I see so many more people just like, I just want to get out of here. I'm ready to renounce my US citizenship. I'm so pissed. And I was like, wow, that's quite a statistic. Like, I could see this turn.
Mm. So are there a lot of people hitting you up for the passport services that you provide?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess
It's always been it
I was just gonna say more. I guess more than there has been. How long have you been doing it?
since 2017 as well.
Oh, okay. And so this year, just way more interest. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, much more interest. And like right now, I'm mostly focused on like United States, Canada, and Australia, and those are my primary market. And also I'm more focused on Bitcoiners. And obviously, they all try to time it up for the next top of the market, right? Because like it's much better to pay 1 Bitcoin for passport than 10 Bitcoins for passport. But yeah, I already see like the interest is growing. Obviously, the COVID stuff became a catalyst of this process for many people. But yeah,
Mm,
people are realizing that like we're no longer the land of free. We might want to look into other options.
yeah. And with these options, like I was looking at Vanuatu, like the details and the Wikipedia page and stuff on them recently, because that's one of the places that I think that you provide services for, and that is common for people looking for these services. Um, but regarding some aspect of, I guess, financial disclosure or how they operate financially, that Australia and New Zealand have put pressure on them in like recent years to enhance their disclosure. Is there any risk that, or what is the risk? Of course there's risk, but what is the risk you pay 150, 200, 250,000 to get a second passport from St. Kitts or Vanuatu or wherever, and their policies just change, their disclosure policies, their tax policies, like what's the risk there?
Well, you need to remember what is their incentive here. Those islands have no income but selling passports. So they pretty much want to keep doing it forever because like that's what they do. That's what they do to make money. And but many of those programs been around for like 30 plus years and nothing really has changed. And I don't think anything in terms of taxation will ever change. In terms of disclosure, obviously there is pressure from United States, from China. I know China actually got like extradition from Vanuatu for 4 of their citizens. So recently, quite recently. So you always need to figure out what's going on in the industry. Like it's a very liquid process, right? Like it's never solid, and you just have to look what's going on this year, what's going on next year, look into trends. So like that's one of the value proposition of coming to me and asking me all these questions, so I could understand your needs, understand your goals. Then we would look into different programs, like depends on like what you're looking for, what kind of program in terms of timeline much as like fits your expectations. What do you have, family members or is it single applicant? And like we figure out the full strategy for you, and then from there we just go.
What's the most popular destination?
St. Kitts is the most well known for Americans. They definitely have like the most respect and trust in that. Um, Vanuatu is the easiest process in terms of due diligence, definitely. Like if you want to accelerate the process and if you think that you might have some issues, Vanuatu is the way to go. Yeah, I would say those two.
And
Portugal
what?
is extremely popular too, but I don't think this is as valuable for U.S. citizens and Canadians and Australians as it is for like other countries like East Europe.
Why is that? You hear me?
Can you, yeah, can you say it again?
Yeah. Did your did your earbuds die? uh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, why is Portugal more popular?
They also have this 10 years tax holidays, which is like you move to Portugal. It's a nice place to raise a family too. Like there's beaches, great weather, and good taxation structure. I am not focused on Portugal again because it's not as interesting for my market as it is for East Europe. But I know there's like growing interest towards Portugal, and like it's part of Europe Union, so it gives you a lot of visa-free access to different countries, which is also important for other country citizens. So pretty good option.
Is there any way to turn up your mic volume on your computer somehow? You're a little quiet now.
Okay.
Um,
I,
and
while I'm doing it, I'll just start yelling.
why does it take? Is the 3 to 4 months that it takes? It's just bullshit bureaucracy paperwork. Is that all that is?
Yeah, pretty much. And let me know how I sound now. Better, or should I turn it up a little more?
You're louder, but a little bit more would be good.
How about now? One,
One
two,
down,
three.
one down, one down, and we're good.
Okay, let's
Okay,
try that.
we're good here. We're good here.
So yeah, pretty much it's all bureaucracy again. You put together a case, you put together like due diligence process, right? Like FBI check is part of the process as well. And then you need to figure out which process you're going through. Is it going to be donation or is it going to be purchase of real estate? If it's real estate, you also need to find the property, of course. But then it's just pretty much waiting process. And right now there is a backlog. Like many countries didn't accept any applications because they just didn't accept any mail coming into the island during the COVID times. So now there is a backlog, and that's something that I keep telling to Bitcoiners because like they trying to time it up to the top of the market, and you actually pay the donation at the as a like very like the last step of your process. So right now it's like 8 to 10 months. So you need to initiate the process 10 months before we hit all-time high if you're trying to time it up.
Talk about timing the markets. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what other this idea of like these competing jurisdictions was an idea that was described in The Sovereign Individual, right? A very popular book in the space. And I do think that's what we're going to see. Like increasingly, there's going to be demand for better jurisdictions, and the more agile, smaller jurisdictions that aren't parts of big countries or like groups of countries, unions or whatever, they can more easily attract these people. Has that been, and the ones that like the St. Kittses and the Vanuatu's and stuff, as you said, they've been kind of doing this for a long time. Portugal may be an example of a country that's made changes more recently, but do you see this as a shift where more and more countries are going to be starting to do this? Because the other side of maybe Bitcoiners holding off a bit is, if now there's 5 to 10 options, if in the future there's 20, 30, 40, then presumably the price will come down for these sort of services. So do you see this like more jurisdictions trying to offer this stuff?
Definitely. And I don't think Bitcoin played any role in that just yet. I think the first catalyst that played a role in it was like digital work, right? It started to be more popular. People can work from their computer from anywhere in the world, so they just can move and don't commit to their 9 to 5 job every day. So that was the first catalyst, and I think the second one would be the Bitcoin stuff. We're gonna go to the moon, and then we can flee the country with any amount of money at any point. So compete for this Bitcoin.
All right, tell me about the island stuff, because that's some real baller stuff. To be considering buying islands and to be selling islands must be a pretty fun job. How did that come about, and what's been the experience so far?
I was just pretty much, meeting cool people who bought different passports, talking to them, and then we ran into this old man. He's in his 70s, and he's been selling islands for over 40 years. So at the age of 30, he got to his father and was like, I'm gonna sell islands. And ever since he's been doing it, he literally created market for selling islands. It was not a thing before him. Now he's got over 2,000 islands for sale, and I pretty much just because the clients who buy passports also curious about buying islands. It's kind of the same not user but the same client. I started looking into that more, and we were already talking about citadels and all this stuff, and I was like, damn, this is like ultimate citadel. Maybe at some point, few months from now, we'll be like, hell yeah, I'm gonna buy an island and build a house. And since we're already looking into off-grid housing, self-sufficient housing, it's like not that big of a problem to have centralized resources like electricity and water. So might as well build it on an island.
And so I missed a little part of that. You got stuck for a second, but what, like, who owns the islands before they're being sold? Like, are they all just private sales, or are there countries that sell off islands that they have, or how does that work?
Yeah, mostly they're owned by an island nation close by, and this is the island nation just sells the island.
And like, are a lot of people doing this? Like buying islands and putting a self-sufficient home on them? Not a lot, but you know
No,
what I
I
mean?
don't
Like,
think
is there relative to the supply that's available for purchase? Like, are people scooping it up?
it's getting more and more popular. Definitely, yes.
How much is like an average island to buy?
You can start if you're trying to just have an island for yourself. You could start as low as like $500,000, and then there's like obviously endless amount of money.
So what does a $500,000 island look like, and where is it? Just paint the picture for me.
Hey, let me give you a particular example. In the Caribbean, um, 30 minutes from a tiny airport on an island next by, 30 minutes from closest hospital by boat, obviously. The island, I'm still, figuring out this whole metric system between the United States and Russia, and I don't really remember. But island, I would say it's like island for 4 big houses with big backyards. Uh, you could buy for like 750 to $2 million.
And so the island is like, in terms of kilometers long and wide, what would you say?
4 football
4 football fields.
pads. Yeah,
Okay. And obviously no amenities, just an island. So everything that you build there has to be self-sufficient and stuff.
pretty much.
Do you own an island?
I wish. One day, maybe.
Man, that is cool. So this guy that's been selling them for 70 years, does he live on an island? He must.
He's got some islands, but he's at this point he's in his mid 70s, so he's a little more settled down. He lives in Germany. I think. Well, he also travels a lot. He's still pretty active, and he just takes helicopter and fly around his islands to look what's up, take some pictures. Still does a lot of activities for his business on his own. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, what other tools or solutions have you been looking at? Do you think people should be considering, right now in 2020, September 2020, for increasing their own like sovereignty, for establishing more sovereignty in their lives?
I think it always starts with considering your attack factors. I was just recently thinking how it used to be like we would look into natural disaster as like the first attack factor that comes to the mind. But now it always comes with like this is gonna be a nation state or like, government authority coming after us, and we're trying to gain sovereignty from those nation states, which is kind of like such a rent seeking, right? They fabricated a problem, and now we're looking for solution to solve the fabricated problem. Pretty fucked up.
Mm.
But I personally really look into like my health, my own health, because like radical ownership of money is good, and like radical ownership of your body is pretty important. So like make sure that you're healthy, you're fit, you know how to defend yourself. That would be a good one for sure. And other survival skills, like definitely building off-grid house is a good thing to do. Definitely at least, gaining some knowledge on how to do gardening, etc. Definitely important. But just, I don't know, just it's like a mindset switch after which you just never go back, and then you're just looking for those self-sovereignty ways you can do things that nobody thinks that you can do in self-sovereignty way. And I think we're all going there. It's like an endless process. There's no a point that you're trying to reach. It's just you keep going, keep becoming more and more sovereign until you die.
And then that's the ultimate freedom. Um, yeah, I agree with that. And it's interesting, still being in, a country like Canada, there's so many people that don't even for a second consider that their freedom is ever imposed upon at all. They just think they are at the forefront of what it is to be, a human being in society, and they're as free as they could ever want to be, and there's nothing more to consider. And then, of course, there's other people that see all the different ways that the freedom and sovereignty that they wish to have is imposed on, or a lack of freedom is imposed on them, and they look to try to find solutions. And the reason why I wanted to kind of frame this up in looking at solutions, and I want to do a bunch more podcasts on it, is because I agree, like what you just said is like Bitcoin is a piece, and your own health is a piece, and your living environment is a piece, and your access to passports and the optionality that allows is a piece, and free open source encrypted software that you can use to communicate or to do whatever you want on the web. Like these are all pieces, and once you stack enough of them, well, then, you begin to have a lot more optionality. You give yourself the ability to say fuck you to people that might be imposing things on you and oppressing you in different ways. And that's right now, that's the best that can be expected until we have these glorious citadels all over the world where you can just choose where you want to spend your time and come in and come out based on the services that are offered. But I think right now is if you feel like things are going in the wrong direction, if you feel like decisions are being made for you that are not in your best interest, that you don't want to make, then the best thing to do is just take those incremental steps to learn about and engage in solutions that give you more optionality. I mean, that's the name of the game, is, optionality is it. Being able to pick up sticks and leave, being able to communicate the way you want to communicate. And it's tough, but the solutions are emerging that are making it easier.
Yep. So being a fighter and being ready to go out of your way to still stick with freedom is extremely important. And I think we all got it. We're all fighters. We're not gonna give up. We're just gonna keep fighting for as long as we can. And I enjoy the process. This is also something that is important. Like that's great. I'm okay with that. It's not that I'm struggling. No, it's great. I love this fight. I chose it. It's great. I enjoy every step of it.
Yeah, I think you got to find enjoyment in it, right? Because otherwise, like, nobody wants to just be in a fight that's kind of not fun their whole life. And like you practice Muay Thai, I do as well. Like there's an enjoyment in the sparring, in the fighting, because you get to test yourself, you get to kind of reveal something about yourself, and you get to improve, right? So it's not that I want to be in a fight all the time, but it definitely, it definitely has its benefits. It's not all bad. What what's like top of your mind these days? What's most interesting, exciting to you in any kind of category, whether it's Bitcoin or anything else you're involved in, projects, anything like that?
Well, I sell passports. I built two apps. One of them is like self-sovereign approach to your own health. That's something I'm pretty excited too in terms of like mental health and physical health altogether. I believe they're going hand in hand. So I'm doing this, pretty excited, great learning curve as well. And this year overall was like the most productive, the most interesting, the most amazing year of my life. And I know a lot of people are going to be surprised because it's 2020 and everything is unplanned. But this year was amazing for me. And I just want to keep having great time through crazy times. Yeah, but like I build my routine the right way and I'm enjoying it for sure. And that's what I'm excited about. Just keep building things that I want to see in my life.
Nice. Well said. What's the app? Tell me more about the app thing.
It's not very public just yet. I will
If
be,
you can. Oh, you can. Okay.
yeah, we'll be launching in Florida in several weeks, like in a few weeks, 4 to 5 weeks.
Right.
And it's just pretty much the connection between mental health and physical health. So I really believe that like your hormone profile affects you not only physically but mentally, your micronutrient sufficiency, so all this stuff. And we're trying to put all those pieces together, deliver them to the user through a mobile app. And like we keep saying that like you are the hero, this is your journey. Self-sovereign approach to your own health is like there's nobody else in the world who can help you with that but you.
Mm-hmm.
So take your own health into your own hands and go for it.
That's cool. That's cool. You know, that message of sovereignty and personal responsibility, just it's applicable everywhere. And once you see it and once you take that approach, like to your health, to your finances, to your mobility, to your ability to communicate, all that stuff, you see the stark contrast between your approach to personal responsibility and the approach to personal responsibility that most people that have become so accustomed to the state providing everything and taking all the responsibility, how different the degree of the contrast between people is. I mean, I look around oftentimes today in, not living in kind of, well, living in kind of a quote unquote normal city, and listening to the level of political discourse and all this stuff. And like people expect, you get people whining about the healthcare system and, it needs more funding and the wait times and this and that. And they do absolutely nothing to manage their own health. They smoke cigarettes and they eat crap and they never exercise and they, drink too much alcohol, whatever it is. Like they stack all that and then they march their fat ass up to the hospital and say, how come you're not taking care of me better? And it's such a disease of a mindset. And I love how, whether it was inspired by Bitcoin, whether it was there before, obviously there's many doors into this, but that more and more people are starting to say like, it all should be my responsibility. Who benefits more from my health? Me. Nobody benefits more than me. So I should take full responsibility of that. And the beautiful thing is like when you start doing that and when you start consulting the resources that help you do that, man, it feels fucking good. Like it feels good to know that you can. I mean, it's just a powerful feeling to be kind of like free, right? The place that I get the most of it these days is I'll go out for like a swim in a freshwater pond here, like 1.5 kilometer swim. And I'll be out in the middle of the pond or I'll be out over at the other side, the little island that I swim to. And there's nobody around and it's just forest and freshwater. And my lungs are kind of pumping, my heart's racing, like I just did a good swim, and I'll just come out of the water like, yeah, like it's just such a good feeling to know that you're cool in that environment. And if you've got to run for a while, you're cool, and if you've got to take care of yourself, you're cool. And if you need to fly to another, like all these things, again, I think it comes down to optionality, but being adaptable to any, or not any, but as many environments as possible, because you've conditioned your body and you've set up your life to allow you to do that, is such an intoxicating feeling.
Yeah. And I wish we could help more people fall in love with this kind of approach, because everybody thinks that like this victim mentality is easier, right? You just blame other people for your own fuck ups, and in some way it's easier, but like instead of blaming the healthcare system and struggling through bad health, you might struggle through diet and then feel amazing for your whole life. Like this is much easier if you actually go through that and you realize that, like, yeah, living healthy is much easier than blaming healthcare system, going through doctors. So like victim mentality is not, like, it's not making it easier. Like stop saying this and just go for it. Fall in love with this cool lifestyle of being a sovereign individual.
Totally. And the victim mentality abdicates so much control. Like, don't you want to be the one who's in control? Because by you saying like, oh, that person's words offended me or hurt me, or I don't like, you're not doing enough of this for me. You're just basically saying my happiness and my, contentness and me being like fulfilled is all in your control. And so when you don't do things, you're damaging me for that. Like, that's such a weak mentality. It should be in your control. You determine whether you get that or not. Don't let an outside source do that. And like you said, I don't think it leads to more happiness. I think it's just we've been conditioned to think that way by the size and scale of government in this day and age. That's definitely been a variable, and how people have been parented and stuff like that. And it's easier in the sense that, like, if it's like lazy, right? It's a lazy attempt at finding solutions for yourself, or solving problems. But as you say, I mean, once you, yeah, it certainly feels a lot more effective to try to take control for yourself.
Definitely.
What was I going to ask you next? I had something in my mind, but I was ranting too much. Well, what's going on? What's exciting you in Bitcoin? While I remember that, why don't you tell me what kind of, anything in particular, price action, technology?
Yeah, we're all still pumped after BitBlock boom. It was just amazing
Oh
to meet
yeah,
the whole community. Yeah, I'm sure you got FOMO'd pretty badly, huh?
totally. I would have gone, but I would have had to quarantine for 2 weeks on my when I got back. So
Again, about state actors and their regulations.
nice to connect with Bitcoin.
Next time,
How many people were down there?
it was like 300 at BitBlock boom, and so far nobody got tested positive on COVID.
Shocking.
Yeah, price. I also hosted an event, a satellite event that was like all things self-sovereignty the day before BitBlock boom, and we were actually talking about all the things we were talking about today. So like self-sufficient housing, self-defense, emergency medical care, self-sovereignty 101, passports, all this stuff. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Event.
that's actually, now that I remember, me seeing that when you posted the thing for that event like a while back. I think that's probably why I asked you to do this today, or part of the reason, because I wanted to talk to you for a while. But yeah, how did that event go? Tell me about it.
It was really good. So I literally put this event together because I was like, this is the things that I want to learn about, I want to talk about. And I just imagined this perfect event covering all the things that I'm interested in. And then I was like, I'm just going to organize it. And I invited a couple of speakers, and it it ended up being pretty cool. Everybody enjoyed it. I got a lot of great feedback. It's definitely happening again, either Bitcoin 2021 or next year. Bitcoin is happening for sure as well. So
Sick. How many people showed up?
130. We had 130
Really?
people.
But not like all from the conference, or some people that were just in the area could come too?
Yeah, it was free event, so a lot of people who decided not to waste that spend sets onto Bitcoin still could come over to Underground Citadel. And yeah, there were quite a few people who didn't go to the main conference but showed up at Underground Citadel.
And so was this just like talks, or was it workshops as well? You mentioned like emergency medical stuff. Like, did you have someone doing a workshop on that kind of stuff, or what did it
Nobody
look like?
was dying, nobody got caught, so we couldn't really do a hands-on experience. But yeah, Ben Woosley, core contributor, was actually doing emergency medical care, and he brought a lot of a lot of things that he thinks that everybody needs to have on him or her. Like as going through the streets and you see somebody's having, you know, actually, I have a story to tell. A friend of mine who lives in Mexico now, who was at my event, recently saw a girl being bitten. Is it the right word? Being
Yeah.
bitten by a dog on a
Oh.
street,
Hmm.
and he had emergency medical kit on him, and he just like totally covered it. And he's been carrying this medical kit for 4 years and never needed that. But there was this particular situation where it got handy. So it's like another sovereign thing that to do is just to carry around medical kit, to carry around knife. My shooting coach and my Muay Thai coach always says ABC, which means always be carrying. And I think like in ABC you can say ABC your open dime to flee the country at any point. ABC your guns. ABC knife. Medical kit. So like always be prepared. And I'm trying to learn that when I'm in Mexico. I'm doing it all the time. In the United States, because I fly so much and I never fly with luggage, like bringing knife from place to place always ends up being a headache. But like try to make it part of your daily routine.
Yeah, in recent years, I've been giving a lot more consideration to like planning for unforeseen circumstances. You know, kind of what we were talking about this before, and in kind of taking enough responsibility and refining yourself to the point where you're comfortable in as many circumstances as possible. But still, that's more of a general approach. Whereas obviously there's emergency circumstances where even a little bit of forethought and planning, I think, would go a long way. Like, you know, certain people talk about having like kind of a go bag in your home. Like if you just have to leave real quick, it's like hung up in the closet and it's everything you need to either travel or, you know, run through the woods or whatever your circumstance are. And like, what do you do if you have a home invasion? Like, do you have a protocol and a plan that you've practiced so that if it happens, like, you know exactly what you need to do? And there's like just something to mitigate the fear and panic of unexpected circumstances. Cause like people tend to freeze when they're not used, when something unexpected happens. And so I've been thinking about that a lot more. And I think it's a good thing for people to think about, like, and obviously you can't plan for every externality, but just the ones that would really shake you up and be difficult to handle. Like if you just had a little forethought and planning, you know, hopefully they never happen, but if they do, you know, you'd be much more equipped to handle them.
I actually got a question through this story. Early in life, when you had those experiences before getting into self-sovereignty stuff and actually understanding the idea, did you experience that like something weird happens, like somebody cut himself or car accident or anything else, and all the people around you are freaking out, like, you know, they see blood, they can't handle it or something else, and you're like like clicking and looking for solution right away without questioning what happened, without freaking out, without putting any emotionality into that. You just like jumping into solutions and trying to, you know, put pressure on cut or like something like this. Because I was always this person who would be like, all right, everybody calm down and we're looking for a solution. And I think this is something that all the Bitcoiners experience early in life because it's just the mindset.
Yeah, I don't remember a specific instance, but I was always the like, everyone calm down. We need to, you know, we need calm minds to figure this thing out. Um, but you mentioned firearms. Are firearms legal in Mexico?
Well, there's a long procedure you need to go through to own one. And the gun laws are not good here at all. But I go to range every month pretty much and learning my way there.
Do you find it safe down there in Guadalajara?
Yes, for me, again, those are attack factors. Like in the United States, I feel like uh, state attack would be more like state attack is not something you can deal with pretty much. You're in trouble and there's nothing you can do on your own. But I've like some people tried to steal phone from me in Mexico and they didn't succeed because those are such a tiny attacks and I'm prepared to that for them and I know how to deal with it. So like the
They
dude
tried to
on a
steal
motorbike,
what?
my phone. I was just walking and I was like right after my Muay Thai class. So my sister was like biking and he's on a motorbike, like passing by and trying to grab my phone, and I was like, no fucking happening, man. Like hit him with the arm, took my phone back, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah,
That's
so.
awesome. You know, you mentioned the kind of like if the state is the attack vector, then that's really hard to deal with. And this, I don't know. Have you read the book, The Gulag Archipelago?
Oh, not really. Like I won't be able to comment on it at all right now. I know what you're talking about, and I know some stuff from it, but it's been like a while since the last time I looked at that.
Well, yeah, I haven't finished it yet. I know it's like a heavy read. I'm just reading it now, but it starts with like the first couple pages where the guy basically just says like those words, you're under arrest. Just like by the time you hear those words, it in that time and place, it was already too late. Like you couldn't argue it, you couldn't fight it. If those words came to your ears, you were fucked. And and I think it's important to read those works. And so many people around the world today just think things, oh, that was a different time, that was a different place, that was those people over there, and they don't realize that the things that caused those horrendous events of our past to happen, it's not because the people were any more stupid than you are, or that like you're any more superior, or you're any more moral or ethical or anything that than they were. It's just the circumstances and the philosophies that underpin those things can easily reemerge. And I think, like, the old saying, people who don't study history are typically condemned to repeat it. I mean, look at what's happening around the world today, particularly in the US, where there's very similar philosophies beginning to emerge. So I think even as ugly as those stories are, I mean, I think maybe that's even more reason to familiarize yourself with them, because they can be so sobering and jarring to your perspective.
Definitely. And like we know the system is unfair, unlogical, absolutely. So like don't try to predict it. Just be ready for the worst pretty much. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, Katie, I'll let you go. There's one last part I want to do before I let you go. But before I get into that, was there anything else you had in your mind to bring up, discuss, share today?
No, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
All right. So the last part is it's just a word association. I haven't been doing it lately, but for whatever reason, you inspired me to bring it back. So I'll say a word, and you tell me the first thing that pops in your head. So no thinking, you just blurt out whatever comes to your mind.
In Russian?
No, not in Russian, in English.
I can't process information that quick in English.
Shut up. Yes, you
I'll
can.
try.
Here we
I'll
go.
try to do my best.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Here we go. Democracy.
Nope.
The Lightning Network.
Will happen.
Government.
Sucks.
Human rights.
Believe in those.
Violence.
Everywhere.
Trump. Hold on, you got
I think my
stuck.
internet stopped working, right? Yeah.
We're almost there.
I
Trump.
was not prepared for this kind of thing. Yeah, I was not ready for sure.
All right, Trump.
I have no opinion on those motherfuckers. No,
Ego.
they don't exist in my life. Okay, ego, Trump.
FOMO.
You not coming to Big Boom.
Wealth.
Wealth.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Privacy.
Important.
Hate speech.
Doesn't exist.
Gold.
Old school.
Guns.
Good.
Revolution.
In your head.
Socialism.
Don't even try. I've been there.
Family.
Love.
Inequality.
Doesn't exist.
Hell.
No interest.
Liberty.
Jeez, it's so hard. It's like association game with the person who doesn't speak your language.
You're doing great. What are you talking about?
Okay, liberty. Again, in your head,
Energy
health,
and Bitcoin.
me.
Nice. I like it. Katie, we made it with some technical difficulties, but we got there in the end. It's been fun to finally connect with you and hear your story and get you to share some of your insights and resources. Before we sign off, anywhere you want to direct people if they want to learn more about any of the cool stuff that you're up to?
Definitely my Twitter. I promise to post more info about the passport stuff. I really believe every Bitcoiner needs to learn about it. Like some of us think it's not that important. It is, it will be. And like, feel free to ask me any questions in DMs. I will answer them. I don't need any payment for that. You can proceed with the process yourself. But like, I'm happy to share any information you need as much as I can.
Awesome. And on Twitter, you're just at Katie Ananina, right?
That's right.
K-A-T-I-E-A-N-A-N-I-N-A, right?
Right.
Beautiful. All right, Katie, I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Thanks for coming on and be well. Take care of yourself.